No, blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here. And to quote our friend Conservative Steve and Sean Hannity and everyone else, let's start off the program. Let your heart not be troubled, dear true believer. We are here. We are strong. We are supporting Brett Kavanaugh, and we will continue to be that torch, that shining show emanating from the Hill, letting you know that America has not been lost, that Idaho has not been lost, and there are more of us than there are of them. Today, we go nonstop with you. We've got a lot of guests that we've decided we're going to hold them off till next week. Our great friends Diamond and Silk, we're going to have them on next week. We called the ladies and said, look, people here in the Treasure Valley, they have a lot to talk about. They have a lot that needs to be heard. So we will work on those things next week. But this time it is all about you at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And you have the crazy Kavanaugh protesters going flipping nuts last night. And we will talk about that. We'll talk about what's at stake today. And by the way, the Senate vote is slated to happen at 8:30 our time. So we will share that with you as we roll along and, possibly hear more from these folks. By the way, the president last night.
Democrats have been trying to destroy Judge Brett Kavanaugh since the very first second he was announced. And he was announced for one simple reason. He is an incredible intellect, an incredible person, an incredible talent. He's been an incredible judge because they know that Judge Kavanaugh will protect, uphold, and defend the Constitution of the United States as written.
And what does that say? That you have the libs not wanting someone who's going to uphold and defend the Constitution. R&R, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Thank you for starting our day on the right side.
Oh, Kevin, K. Millie. I'm going back with Monarch of the Merc. I know you're the court jester of the mountain people also, but I love it when I hear you over at the schools. So two things, and I'll be brief. You asked me one time who my favorite teacher was, and I'll quote his name again, Spitzmaster, 7th grade. It's not 1964 anymore, so avid cyclist that I am, I just want to lay down some voice patterns right here. I had two near-death experiences, avid bicyclist, encountered in dense fog riding home from a midnight shift in my lane, coming head-on at me in dense fog, and I had 5 kids at home at that moment in time. And by God's blessing, I wasn't hit. In a school zone at 20 mile an hour maximum. Second story, it's New Year's Eve, and it's in the 1980s, about the time you were in high school, and it's Capital City, Oregon. It's impossible to move and get anywhere. So I ran cross-country trained, not to brag, but I decided I'd run over to the nearest Freddy's, and nobody knows this story, but now everybody knows. I slipped and lost my footing at a stop sign and fell instantly to the ground, slipped between a tractor-trailer rig and was not crushed. Got my legs out before the wheels came over them. Here's my point. Oh, one more. Firebird Lane, the man who ran the post and ran the Christmas tree at Firebird Lane, was hit and murdered by a hit-and-run driver. That story has happened since I came to the Treasure Valley. My point is, Speed limits are for daylight optimum. That's the maximum. Every human being in the sound of my voice ought to be 7 or 8 miles under the speed limit on such a foggy, traverse morning. 7 to 8 miles under. Nobody's in a hurry so much that they got to be pushing, especially you. When I hear you tell me, I'm taking it personal, that somebody has been tailgating you, blah, 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 blah. Now, lastly, and I love you too, I'm certain that Caroline and Buster are your muse, and you're now just about my favorite teacher. Love you.
I love you, Arnar. God bless.
Keep on keeping on.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And don't forget little Alabama Miller as well. And for those of you just tuning in, that would be my 3 little dogs, my 4-legged family members at home. And Arnar makes a great point. It is very foggy out. We have kids with school. It is dark. You know, here's the thing. You know, how can we avoid speeding accidents? By driving responsibly, driving slowly, and not waiting till the last flippin' minute. I mean, and I'm talking to myself more than anybody else.
Let's stay together. Let's fight. Let's keep showing up.
If that doesn't wake you up, I don't know what will. By the way, to our great friend Ray Amaya, I think today we're going to have the Ray Amaya Song Festival, if we could. Let's, if we still have those, The Real American, Don't Back Down, Didn't Start the Fire. We've got to get everybody fired up today. And here's the deal. What type, Ray, if we could please have those, what type of world are we going to live in if you're a Republican person and you do not vote for Kavanaugh? You've got 3 Republicans. You have Jeff Flake, McFlake. You have Murkowski of Alaska. You have Susan Collins of Maine. So realistically, if you vote against Judge Kavanaugh, you are not a Republican. You don't believe in conservative values. You've been looking for an excuse. You've been bullied by the protesters. I mean, where is the security in the Senate? Where's the security in those buildings? I didn't think that you could just walk in and start screaming at senators. Where are the Capitol Police?
A vote for Kavanaugh is a vote saying women don't matter. Yes.
Right, exactly. And I'm going to tell you a little story, but here's more. By the way, you're thinking, Kevin, it's Friday. Do I really want to wake up to this? I am just providing a public service so you can wake up. This will shock the system.
We need everyone to pay attention.
I totally agree. And you want to bring your blue wave? If Kavanaugh goes down, even if Kavanaugh doesn't go down, how about a red tsunami? You don't want Jerry Nadler and everybody else in the House going after Donald Trump.
We are about to march.
How about this? We are about ready to take a bathroom break. Here's more.
I disagree with Senator Grassley's statement that there was no hint of misconduct.
Of course. And now you have Judge Kavanaugh in the Wall Street Journal this morning. If you're just waking up saying, look, maybe I raised my voice. And in America today, unless you're an activist, unless you're somebody who doesn't like the Constitution, you can't raise your voice. Number one. Number two, then you have a group of people that went to Yale that said Kavanaugh drank. Oh, my goodness. And, you know, I hate to bring this up, but this was such a great clip. We didn't get a chance to play it earlier in the show, but it comes down to this on this double standard. I'm not a drinker. I'm like the president. Although the president has bested me, I've never had a beer. I've never had hard liquor. I have had wine at church. And I could say that. I could take a lie detector test on that. And I agree with the president. Could you see me with a few? No, not at all. Here, but is drinking all of a sudden a crime?
At the end of that meal, all the guys were like, hey, Don, let's go back to the Trump Hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You know, we'll hang out in the lobby. Some of them will have a couple drinks. Now, I know that in this week in particular, you're not allowed to have a beer if you are a conservative. Now, if you're a liberal, you can do cocaine and you can be the president, but that's okay. It's okay. We'll hold ourselves to a higher standard. It's fine.
And he's right. 580-5446, 580-KIDO. This is the latest. So it all comes down to this. How do you see it going? I think Kavanaugh will go through the Senate. He'll be confirmed. He'll be on the Supreme Court. And just like everything else, their king is gone, Obama. We defeated their queen. What's next? I'd love to hear from you. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Will the protesters make a difference?
I will not vote to confirm him. And most of you, I think, have been persistent in your questions. I think that's fair to say. And one thing that I firmly believe is that anyone who had made this decision prior to the completion of the FBI report and prior to the completion of the hearings and complete vetting did so prematurely.
That is one of the senators from Minnesota. We'll tell you next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up, we'll take more of your feedback. You're a little sleepy this morning, but this is a story out of Salt Lake City that should be getting national attention. In fact, I think I'll put it on the Gem State Gun Jobs Facebook. Here's the headline. I don't want to die this way. Starbucks clerk relives attack after customer shoots assailant, according to the police in Salt Lake. Let's listen to this thanks to our friends at KSL TV.
Starbucks policy is that a barista says hello and welcomes you to Starbucks. But when a barista did that here at this Starbucks this morning, she ended up being attacked. And tonight she tells me she thought she was going to die.
There's nowhere else to go, and I was cornered.
Shelby Hamilton is alive, but just this morning she thought she was going to die.
I really hope that this stops because this is going to be a super painful death. So
Shelby was working at this Mill Creek Starbucks when she thought a customer walked in, but he wasn't. Instead, Shelby says he began attacking her.
He continued to hit me a couple times in the back of the head.
Shelby says he asked her, "Do you know who I am?" She said no.
That really upset him. He kind of went off the handle, punched me in the side of the face.
Shelby ended up on the ground, curled up, trying to protect her head. Then she heard shots.
At that point, I thought it had become an active shooting.
Moments later, Unified Police found her and told her someone shot her alleged attacker, 37-year-old Benjamin Overall.
At this point, I pretty much owe that person my life. I really feel like if there wasn't a distraction or if he wasn't taken down, I would be more seriously injured.
Now, Shelby's not sure if she'll be returning to work here at Starbucks. She does have a good support system to help her heal from this incident. The suspect, 37-year-old Benjamin Overall, he was taken to the hospital in critical condition, but is now stable. Live in Mill.
There we have it from our friends at KSL TV. Now, I thought Starbucks was anti-gun. I thought you weren't allowed to carry concealed carry, open carry into Starbucks. Here you have a young woman opening up the Starbucks. You have some person of deranged intent. He's going to kill her. He's going to take her life. And what happens? Someone who is vilified by the national press, someone whose rights should be taken away according to liberal activists, comes in and does the right thing and shoots this guy. Now, I think that's why you need U.S. Law Shield, because somebody will probably for this guy the perp will try and take him to, tell him to sue and such. But what would have happened if that person didn't have a weapon? Well, he could have gone in and physically stopped him. Really? Who's to say the guy didn't have a gun, a knife, a stick, and then you'd have two people killed? See, this is what, and I don't know if I'm really comfortable using the term snowflakes gets or means. They don't understand that there are people in the world that are intent on doing us harm. And there should be no wrong, no reason, no rhyme to be able to carry a weapon to protect oneself. And you're seeing that in Salt Lake City. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. He said, Kevin, this town is changing. And by town, he means the entire Treasure Valley. there used to be never shootings. In the last month, how many police-involved shootings have we had here? In the last year, how many police-involved shootings have we had? And we're talking about officers being hurt seriously. And maybe we hear about it on KIDO Talk Radio. Maybe we watch it on the news. And then maybe we'll send a donation. Maybe we'll pray, and then we move on with our lives. There are serious bad people that want to harm us. And that's why it's important that you support our friends, Greg Pruitt and the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. That's why you support your right to keep and bear arms, because, quite frankly, the criminals, that's why they're criminals, don't really care about following the law. And that's why I've always advocated for people here in Idaho, or wherever this program has been or may be, to be able to keep and bear arms. And God bless that person who decided, instead of, the rest of us saying, well, I don't want to get involved, I might get in trouble. What does he do? Pulls out his weapon and takes the guy down, as he should. And God bless the victim for giving the guy the credit. I would be dead if it weren't for him. And you may not think that's important, but what if it's your daughter, your granddaughter, your wife, your mom, someone that you care about, right? At 580-5436, 580-KIDO. That's why supporting people that keep and bear arms, that conceal carry, that have that responsibility is so important. Because, again, let's go back to Starbucks. Now, maybe you like the Starbucks. I know a lot of people here that like Starbucks. To me, it's a little too frou-frou. It's a little too fancy-dancy. When you go to a place and they have their own language, I get a little scared. I'd like a mocha maca, but what the heck? What is that? So to me, that's a little too sophisticated for my simpleton ways. But here you have Starbucks that has been anti-gun and anti-gun carrier for how long? And this happens? Why isn't this the lead story on all the national news? Well, we've got to derail Kavanaugh. Traffic and weather together. You're listening to 107.5 FM.
Larry Gabbard.
And coming up after the news, members of the Ada County people that want to be elected, Ada County candidates, talk about growth. The other day they were talking, you had the 5 mayors, like the 5 families in the Treasure Valley, and everybody was complaining about growth. Well, who approved it? Who approved all this growth? Who approved all the new subdivisions? So we'll get into that. We are monitoring 2 big stories right now. The story out of Salt Lake, would love to hear what you have to say at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, and your predictions concerning Judge Kavanaugh. You have a lot of crazy, wild people that have nothing better to do than sitting back and protesting. And my thoughts to all of us here is what in the world is going on in the Senate that you allow these people to run wild, right? To run wild in the Senate. Don't they have rules there?
If there's one thing that Donald Trump lied to you about, don't get scared, ma'am. It's not a gaffe. She's like, I promise. It's that you'd be sick of winning. Are you guys sick of winning yet?
There you have it, Donald Trump Jr. More coming up. Phone numbers 580-KIDO. You know them well. And again, we've got a roll. By the way, they're going after Senator Hatch in Utah.
And frankly, I hope we can just move forward and get this done. So now's the time to quit all of these antics, these hijinks, and Saturday when we vote to finally confirm this good man to this important position.
There we have it. Senator Corn making his stand. I still love this. I still get this. It's rather crazy, the shenanigans.
I am angry
on behalf of women who have been told to sit down and shut up one time too many.
I think the men have been told to sit down and shut up. What would Archie Bunker do? More coming up. You're listening to 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller in the morning. Let's find out what happened while you were sleeping. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Going out overseas, our great friend Simon Owen joining us from Fox News Radio exclusively here in the Treasure Valley on KIDO Talk Radio. Simon, how is it in London this morning?
Morning, Kevin. Beautiful sunny day here.
Well, it's a little foggy here, so we kind of have a role reversal.
Well, yeah, London is much maligned for its weather, but I think it's an unfair reputation.
Indeed. So let's talk a little bit about the big awards. The Nobel Peace Prize awarded. Who did it go to, sir?
Well, it didn't go to President Trump. Get that out of the way first. It's not going to anyone to do with the North Korea peace process. Maybe next year, as that process continues, if it does. Instead, the Peace Prize has gone to two people who work to combat the use of sexual violence in conflict. So this is a particularly sobering Nobel Peace Prize. And when you hear about these winners and what they do and what they have done, it's perhaps hard to argue with them being very deserving recipients. The two names are Denis Mukwege, who is a Congolese gynecologist. He's been tipped for this prize for years, and he has spent decades treating victims of extraordinarily brutal sexual violence. He shares horrific accounts of what he's seen, treating thousands of women in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where there are vicious and ongoing conflicts in which millions of people have died and in which sexual violence is a well-known weapon used in those conflicts. So he's the doctor. And then the second recipient is who the Nobel Committee said was the witness, and she's a woman called Nadia Murad. She was captured by ISIS in Iraq in 2014 and was subjected to repeated and sustained sexual violence, and she is now a campaigner on this subject. So they are certainly not household names, but their profile is going to be raised significantly after today.
How significant is this? I mean, it's a big announcement, but do people's lives really change when they get the Nobel Peace Prize?
Well, I mean, they win $1 million, so that's useful. But I think it's perhaps the main benefit they would talk about is the profile boost that it gives them. And both of these, while Denis Mukwege has been on the campaigning circuit for a long time, and Nadia Murad is much newer to this because her experience only happened 4 years ago, but they are both well known in terms of pressing governments to take this situation more seriously and look at ways to combat it. And so in those circles, yeah, I think it does matter. I mean, the Nobel Peace Prize, it attracts and sometimes it invites, I think, its fair share of critics when it steps into the political sphere. You know, it gave it to President Obama right at the start of his presidency before he'd had an opportunity really to do a great deal. It gave it to the European Union. That was contentious a few years later. But despite that, you know, we're still talking about it. People do still tune in to see what happens, and it is still a sort of legendary name in the awards circuit. And so, yeah, for these people to be able to say that they are Nobel laureates, I think they would appreciate that. Equally for the doctor, we're told that he was actually in the operation room when the news came through, and so that, I suspect, is an indication of how his life will continue to be an extraordinary surgeon and gynecologist and continue with the work he's doing.
Simon Owen, we always appreciate your insight. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, our great friend Simon Owen. By the way, we so appreciate all of our friends from Fox News, our affiliation with Fox News. And when you hear Fox News, you're listening to the only station that is affiliated with Fox News, and we don't shy away from our political beliefs or who we hang out with. And that's 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's go to Liberty Linda. Good morning, Liberty Linda.
Well, good morning, Kevin. You know, I agree with R&R. I agree with you, Kevin. As usual, I agree with almost all of your callers. You know, I wish Brett Kavanaugh wouldn't have made that announcement. He has done nothing wrong. I believe it's appropriate, though, to be angry when you're falsely accused. However, I believe that it just shows the forgiveness in his heart already.
I agree. I agree with you on that.
I think the announcement was amazing, and truly, I believe he will be a great justice. It shows his heart. Anyway, that's what I thought on that statement.
Liberty Linda, do you think that some of these folks have been brainwashed?
Absolutely. In fact, I was brought up something on the computer last night where they were showing us the chemtrails actually have this aluminum and different things that they're putting out that actually do that to people.
Well, I don't know if they're around Washington, D.C.
Yeah, mainly they put it out around Washington, D.C., but...
Well, then they'd have to impact the men as well as the women, but you have a lot of people that have made this a feminist issue. And I'm watching Fox News last night, and Leland Vitter is on. He's interviewing a woman, and he says finally, she's angry. And he goes, well, what if this were your husband? Would you believe your husband or the accuser? I'd believe the accuser because I'd want the truth. And there's something about hearsay. And there's a reason why uncollaborative, non-collaborative evidence is not credible in court. It's called hearsay. That's exactly what this whole thing is. It's nothing but hearsay.
I know. We wonder what's going on in our world. We see our children today. We see those that are aggressive in our nation, and you know, they're just brainwashed. And those who I think are a little older and we didn't get involved in that, we just don't understand what's going on, how people are thinking. They're thinking backwards. They're thinking opposite of what they should be thinking today. The way Brett Kavanaugh and his family was treated is horrible. And it's still going on. Even though all of this proof has come out, it's still going on. And we, most of your callers and myself, are sitting here thinking, why is this happening in our nation? But in a way, it's
well, they will not stop.
No, in a way, it's a good thing because we're actually, so many people are seeing through it now. That, you know, like our wonderful president, who would even have known he'd be this wonderful? He's overthrown NAFTA. I remember getting up, giving a talk on NAFTA when they're trying to put it into place. And he's actually now thrown it out. Every day he amazes me. He is the best thing that's happened to our country, I think. Anyway, that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. And also, may God bless you, Kevin. When we say we love you, we really mean it. You're family to us. Your family is family to us. You know, your wife, she is lovely. Your mom and dad, just the best. They are the best. So you're our family.
Well, I'm humbled to be a part of it. God bless Liberty, Linda.
You as well. Okay, Kevin, have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, we haven't done a show from Emmett, and I'd love to do a show from Emmett. Lucy and Emmett joins us now. Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Lucy.
Well, you should come on over, you know.
I'm with you.
We're good people over here. I mostly wanted to, I heard earlier you were talking about a red wave and, no, the blue wave and the red tsunami. And I agree with you. We need a red tsunami. We need to educate the youngsters who have been brainwashed in college. You notice that our old nemesis, Mr. Obama, only goes to universities to speak, and it's because he probably can't talk to us, especially not in Emmett. Anyway, I wanted...
What would you do if you were out in Emmett at the Albertsons or wherever, and all of a sudden you saw Obama?
I would have to be contained.
I'm with you.
Him and his friend Hillary just make my blood boil. They do not pay attention to us. They only want, well, you know, Obama's got it. They paraded, Hillary and all those guys paraded Obama around 2 years before that election, and he was their puppet. And he had it made in the shade. All he had to do was sit there, and they wrote his scripts for him. He didn't say anything. You notice even Schumer right now can't talk to you. He has to read a piece of paper.
Well, he's got to get it from the high command.
I know. And people can't see it. When Mr. Trump, our President Trump, our President Trump, when he talks to people, he takes some notes from the side, but he's looking at the people. He's talking to the people. That's why we like him. He's talking from his heart, and he's talking to the people. And we need to educate these folks. And the only way we can educate them that I know of is to get registered. We've got till October 12th to get registered, and then vote. And you can sign up to have it come to your house.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Lucy.
You betcha. And thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Sorry about that. Tom and Nampa, Steve, Bill, and Will will get to you next. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be with you here in the Treasure Valley, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Tom and Nampa, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Well, good morning, Kevin. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, are you?
We are locked and loaded, stacked and packed, ready to roll.
Okay, good. Well, there isn't much more that can be said about the Kavanaugh nomination that hasn't already been said, except did you hear that retired Justice John Paul Stevens now says that Kavanaugh does not deserve to be on the bench because he does not show the proper temperament, referring to the judge's testimony last week. This is the same retired Supreme Court justice that wanted to repeal the Second Amendment. Remember that?
Yep.
That should be no small comfort for the folks in Salt Lake City right about now after what happened at the Starbucks. So I tell you something, it looks like they're down to a vote today. And, you know, it was shown on the news last night that Susan Collins had to have a police escort just to get to her office because of these protesters. So are we going to have rule by mobocracy? The Democrats want to make the world safe for mobocracy because that's exactly what seems to be happening. And I think, you know, what they want, I should say. I think that, if anything, this is going to persuade Collins to vote for Kavanaugh because these senators know it should stand up and not be intimidated. And Joe Manchin is the last Democrat holdout. The rest of them have all come out opposing Kavanaugh, and I think Heidi Heitkamp, who's in a tough re-election race in North Dakota, might as well pack her bags because I think she just gave herself her campaign for re-election a kiss of death when she came out opposed to him. So anyway, let the vote begin. Let's move on past this. And I think, did you read the op-ed that Kavanaugh had this penned in the Wall Street Journal?
I skimmed it.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. You know, these same people that are screaming and hollering and carrying on like this have the gall to say he doesn't have the temperament to be a Supreme Court justice. These people would probably claim that Jesus Christ shouldn't have been the Messiah because the usual mild-mannered Jesus one day walked into the temple and they turned it into a flea market, so he grabbed a whip and started overturning furniture and told them to get out. So, you know, put it in perspective when you judge a man by getting upset on a certain occasion. So, anyway, have a good day. If we win, you want to have a beer this afternoon at 4 o'clock?
I'm like Mr. Trump. I don't drink, but
okay.
Definitely we'll do a lunch soon. Thank you, Tom.
All right.
All right, and hold me to that. Max, hang on. We'll get to you next.